All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of SVT Podcast. I am Vince. I got Sam and Tyler. How's it going, fellas?
What's
up,
going on?
Vince? Tyler?
What's up,
And
guys?
and Tim, of course, on our ones and twos. Hey, buddy.
Yep, I'm here.
Right on, right on. It was a hell of a week for sports. Mostly football related. But we will talk a little bit about the Warriors as well. And the Sharks had a little bit of news. Even though they've just been sucking real bad, but they still get an all-star, and we'll talk about that as well. A little soccer, a little baseball, even a golf note,
A golf
Heck
note.
yeah.
notes on golf. What do you know? Okay, well, we're gonna dive into it. The first thing we always do is we'll talk about the scores. It was the last week of the football season, and let me find the scores where.
Nice.
And the national championship is on tonight.
Yeah, the national championship is on tonight as well. That's a good point.
And for whatever reason, if you're joining us and not watching the national football game, the score is 14-3 Michigan all over the Washington Huskies.
Yeah, it's early, but yeah. Wait a second. Tim, are we live? It's hold on.
Yeah,
I'm not showing us as broadcasting on my phone.
Yeah, we're live.
Okay. Oh no, we're good. Okay, sorry.
Come
My
on,
phone-
man.
my-
Come on,
Well,
man.
I was trying to read the chat and see if anybody was in and fucking thing. All right. There's your
And
swear
there it
word.
is.
God
He may
damn
beat his
it.
own
All
record.
right. No. That was like 2 minutes in. We're good. We're still good. Okay. So on Saturday night, the Steelers beat the Ravens in a game that the Ravens did not give a damn about, but the Steelers very much did. Steelers win. Texans also win on Saturday night.
Also, just real quick, Mike Tomlin is one hell of a coach. He got these boys in the playoffs. Excuse me?
Yeah, again.
Excuse me.
And I mean, he needed help to get there, and he got that help from the Titans, who beat the Jaguars 28-20, and that is absolutely wild.
Yeah.
The Jaguars really just shit the bed. Like, what did they drop? Like 3 out of the last 5 or something like that to on their way.
Did you hear about this? The final the play call that Lawrence audibled and went to a quarterback sneak.
Oh, for the touchdown, like for the touchdown attempt when they were a yard out.
And they were like 2.5 yards. It was like, it's not even close. Why would you audible to that?
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah. So Mike Tomlin gets into the playoffs again somehow. That crazy son of a bitch did it again. I don't get it, but I respect it, and it's absolutely wild. So the Texans, by virtue of winning and the Jaguars lost, they end up being your AFC South champs. Nobody has that.
That's like the team
Absolutely.
that we all rallied behind because of that quarterback, man.
It's kind of wild. It's real easy to rebuild when you get an actual elite quarterback. You can rebuild real quick when you get the right guy.
Yep.
That's
they
cool.
had what, the number
cool.
1 and number 3 or something crazy.
Yeah, so they had the 2 and 3. They had the 2 and the 3.
So they got Stroud and Will Anderson Jr. But back to back. So.
Exactly. So both of those guys ended up being difference makers, clearly. And your AFC South champions are the Texans at 10-7.
Yep.
Good on you. We're skipping the Jets Patriots. We don't care. The Saints made a little bit of noise at the end.
And you know what? Screw the Falcons and screw their coach who got fired.
That's right.
For bitching about this.
So hold on.
It doesn't even matter.
I know it doesn't matter, and all of us don't care about the head coach for the Falcons. Well, ex-head coach for the Falcons. But from what I understand, the news that was given to me was that Jameis Winston audibled that last play instead of doing the victory formation at the half-yard line so he could hand it to the running back, and they scored that last touchdown. And that's what set off Arthur Smith or whatever the heck it was. So
New Orleans, Jameis Winston did audible, but Jameis Winston, when they were in the huddle, said, "Hey, here's the play call, or do y'all want to get our man a touchdown who hadn't scored a touchdown all season?" And the whole team said, "Let's get him a touchdown." Everybody in the huddle said, "Let's get him a touchdown." So is that right of the players to override the coach's decision? No, but at the same time, if they would have scored on the previous play, which was a big play, what then it's not disrespectful. I mean, the Raiders were clearly going for 80.
Yeah, it was
And
for Jamal Williams. Yeah.
Nobody complained about that, and like Antonio Pierce said, the week before they were literally on the other side of the spectrum of not scoring. So personally, I don't like the Saints. I don't like the Falcons. I'm not a fan of either one of those teams. I appreciate a team that's going for it on every single time. Even if the game was over, I don't care. Go for it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, we all agree with that. I mean, that's the Bill Belichick thing where they asked him, like, will you run up the score? And his answer was, play defense. I don't know what to tell you. Play defense.
And Daniel's right. They asked Dennis Allen to go for the touchdown. He said, nah, let's just take the knee, and they overrid it. That to me is the part that I got issue with. Is I'm a big fan of the chain of command. Sometimes you got to rebel. Get off me, coach. I'm doing my own thing. But to get your guy a touchdown on the last game of the season, and the guy who the season before really, Alvin Kamara was injured, and he became the lead dog and really helped your team. They were just taking care of him. I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I think the Falcons coach made it a bigger deal. And, maybe if your team didn't give up 40 points in the second half or whatever it was, maybe you got a shot at something, but your team didn't show up half the season. So
7-10 for 3 years in a row. That's exactly what Arthur Smith is.
Exactly.
The team was never bad enough to be like a top pick, but that's just the talent, like, overcoming the coaching. I think he was not a good coach at all, and he couldn't have been fired soon enough. All right, let's move on. The Bengals ended up winning over the Browns 31-14. That secures a winning season for them, even without Joe Burrow. So good on you. And
I like that quarterback.
Browning.
I think he, if there's a team that can't get a top quarterback this year, it just needs a filler. I think Browning is probably a good option. I think Aiden O'Connell as well.
I
agree.
I don't know his contract situation either. Maybe he's still under contract with them. Maybe he's trade bait now.
No, he's still on his rookie contract. So you got him for 4 years. I don't think
was he a rookie?
5th-year option.
He was a first round pick. Or he was a pick not first round, but he was their quarterback pick this year.
Yeah, he was was a rookie this year. But you have him under club control, but also, Joe Burrow, as amazing as he's been, there's injuries are stacking for the young man's career, from college to even the pros, he's having some injury problems. So you might want to hold on to that other quarterback.
Yeah. One last thing back to the Arthur Smith thing. Daniel actually in the comments saying, if Arthur Smith didn't like it, stop it. Just stop it then. Like,
that's exactly, like right. Bill Belichick said, if you don't like running the score, play defense.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, they get paid too. You get paid too, just like they do. All right. All right. The Lions beat the Vikings. The Vikings had basically no chance anyway of making the playoffs, and that loss secured that for them. The Buccaneers beat the Carolina Panthers 9-0. And that secures the NFC South for them. We already talked briefly about the Jaguars. They dropped 5 out of 6, I believe, at the end.
That bodes well, though. The Buccaneers winning 9-0 against the Panthers, and then they go to play the Eagles. Like, flip a coin. Both teams suck offensively, so which one's going to score the touchdown first? Probably is going to win.
The one who sucks the least.
That's right. Yeah, we don't give a shit about the Cowboys. The Chiefs beat the Chargers. Okay, cool. The Packers beat the Bears. That secured their spot in the playoffs. The Seahawks won their game, even though it ended up not mattering because the Packers won. So that was the end of their season. But, they finished above 500 as well. The Bills beat the Dolphins on Sunday Night Football. Basically, that punt return was the game changer.
Look, I know that the Bills have had a up and down season, but when the Bills lost to the Eagles, they were 6-6. They finished at 11-6, the same record as the Eagles. So shout out to the Bills, great coaching staff, Sean McDermott. I know, the quarterback had 3 picks and their interceptions in the beginning of that Dolphins game, and Dolphins didn't capitalize. But hey, man, resilient team, man. They found a way to win. So shout out to them.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's just talk about our teams real quick. Sam, the Raiders get the win. 27-14 over the Broncos. But basically the big news is Antonio Pierce going to end up being the guy, and there's a lot of players pulling for him to be the guy. We'll see. What Mark Davis hasn't really shown his cards yet on what he's thinking. So,
and he shouldn't. He should.
I think a lot in this national title game is what Jim Harbaugh does. I did see an article in the Athletic that said it's most likely a 2-horse race between Antonio Pierce and Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh started his coaching career actually with the Raiders. He was actually a quarterback coach for Rich Gannon. So he, Jim Harbaugh has a lot of affection for the Raiders organization. He has a lot of love for Al Davis and Mark Davis. He's openly spoken about that. I think Jim sees if he could get the Raiders back to prominence and into playoff contention and maybe a Super Bowl contender in Las Vegas, that's a huge win for him in this organization. New stadium, all that. And I think I do think Mark Davis would love to have a big name. And right now that's kind of the biggest name you could get right now, especially if he wins, so we know Mark Davis is a big name guy.
That's what he tried with John Gruden.
Right.
Was the big name.
And I think potentially, Jim Harbaugh could come into the Raiders organization and say, the defense performed pretty well. We got some good players. You got Max Crosby and Kuntz, who flashed again that it looks like he could be a bookend D end to Max Crosby. So you got pieces defensively. Offensively, you still got pieces offensively, and that offensive line played a lot better this year than I think what a lot of Raider fans and NFL fans thought. Obviously, you need to upgrade the quarterback position. Aiden O'Connell was a rookie. He played admirably. I think he could play in the league. I don't know if he's the guy that you just hand over the reins to a franchise right now, but I still think Aiden O'Connell is valuable to the franchise. I think he's proved he could be a guy that could be a spot starter or backup, come in and keep winning games. In modern NFL, now that we're at 17 games and potentially going to 18 games in the next few years, you're going to need a backup quarterback. Look at the Jets. If only you had production on that team from the quarterback, the backup position. If you had Aiden O'Connell on the Jets, they're probably in it. You're probably seeing Aaron Rodgers try to make that final 2-3 weeks return. So we know how important it is to have a backup. You have to upgrade.
Daniel's in the chat asking Penix.
I think
what do you think?
Quarterback?
I think it depends. Honestly, it really depends. If you come back with Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Hunter Renfrow,
Kirk Cousins.
You're probably trying to get a veteran quarterback. We've talked about Kirk Cousins. I think there might be some chatter about Baker Mayfield because I think he only signed a 1-year deal. So I think anybody who's a veteran quarterback, you're going to be looking at who's a veteran quarterback that can come in and just control the offense. Don't lose the game. And Baker Mayfield, I know they only put up 9 the other day, and that doesn't really seem like a sexy pick. If you look at the overall season, he's played pretty damn well, and you didn't get the Baker Mayfield nonsense from Cleveland. He wasn't making a lot of ruckus. He just went and played football, and they won, and they sneak into the playoffs. I think if you're going with a rookie quarterback, if you're going to draft a quarterback, that means you're probably tearing it down and you're hitting the reset button. And I don't know, as a fan, I don't know if that's the route that I want to go, whether that's with AP or Jim Harbaugh. I don't know if I want to reset everything because we've been so playoff contender deprived that I would just like to see 1 or 2 years where you're actually in it. A couple of years, maybe 3-4 years where you're actually in it. And I think if with Harbaugh, it's like 3 to 4 years, he kind of wears out his welcome. So I think if you could get a 3-4 year window, if you get with Harbaugh, you bring in a veteran quarterback and you go all in while he's here. But I really love AP. I love what AP did with the team. I love how he allowed Patrick Graham to run his defense, and a lot of talk came out that Josh McDaniels was controlling the defense and not allowing Patrick Graham to really do what he wanted to do. And, we know that Champ Kelly was going to be the GM if it wasn't for Josh McDaniels wanting to bring his guy in. And I really would like to see Champ Kelly get his shot because he has proven over the past few years when he's been in scouting and assistant GMs and things like that, that he's been able to pick some good talent. He scouted some good talent for the Bears and the Raiders. So I would like to see Champ Kelly and AP get it, but it's hard not to look at the shine of Jim Harbaugh, even though he hasn't won in the NFL as far as winning the Super Bowl. I mean,
Well,
pretty much
he
since
got us there.
as soon as he got to the 49ers, they were a legit contender. I don't think the Raiders roster is as loaded as the 49ers because they had
that's
number one picks up and down that roster. They were so crappy for so long. They just needed somebody to like rally the troops, and he was able to do that.
So there's obviously Harbaugh's going to be a really big suitor this offseason, right? There's plenty of NFL teams that are going to be calling him. One of the wild or dark horses, I should say, is actually the team on my hat. There's a lot of people that think Nick Sirianni, or I say this, but there's a lot of people that think that Nick Sirianni isn't the guy to get it done. And I say that he's kind of like the Mark Jackson of the Eagles. Like, he's a great coach. When we needed him, he's doing everything he needs to do. But this year has shown me that he didn't really go out to get an offensive coordinator. It was his plays, and that Shane Steichen leaving wasn't a big deal. Clearly, it's a big deal, right? I've been saying all season long, granted, we got 11 wins, and I know there's some teams that didn't even get, 10 wins. So I still say that every single week that our offense struggled, our defense struggled, like we barely won these games. So there's a lot of people saying that he didn't make adjustments, he doesn't coach people hard, he doesn't train people hard, and that they may want to move on and get to Harbaugh, who could put the team over the top where it needs to be. So I wouldn't be shocked. And that Eagles roster is a very sexy roster for a lot of coaches that are top tier coaches that look into that Eagles roster. So the Eagles are a dark horse in this race for Harbaugh, but I do think that if you look at talent wise, Eagles and Raiders are probably the top two that he's probably looking at. Like, he's not going to look at Atlanta and that defense is whatever. The South is a pretty bad division for the most part. He's probably not going to go there. So I'd be curious. I mean, he gets to play against his brother potentially if he coaches the Raiders more often. The Eagles, you'd only see them every 2 or 3 years or so, depending on scheduling. So, but I think those are the two dark. I think Eagles are a dark horse, but I think the Raiders are the favorite to get Harbaugh at this point.
I would say, obviously the Raiders have to decide on Coach AP, but I would not count the Commanders out.
Yep.
They have a ton of money that they want to throw at a big name. They want to win. They got an owner that wants to win.
They got Bob Myers.
They got Bob Myers.
Let's just talk about all these coaching vacancies right now. There's also Carolina. The Chargers have a lot of talent, but
the least amount of money they can offer.
The least, exactly.
The ownership is not going to offer Jim Harbaugh the biggest paycheck.
Right. He's a cheapskate. We talked about Atlanta, Washington. They let Ron Rivera go. I think they let Arthur Smith in Atlanta go like at midnight on Black Monday. Yeah. They sent that text at 12 a.m. and 12:03 Adam Schefter had it. That was quick. Obviously, Josh McDaniels, Frank Reich, and Brandon Staley, they were mid-season fires, and the Patriots job might be opening too. We don't know. Bill Belichick is meeting with ownership with Bob Kraft.
I think the problem with that Patriots thing is that it's just such a disarray. Like, you got semi-decent wide receivers.
You're starting from scratch.
It's just really rough.
If you're Jim Harbaugh, you don't want to go there.
You want to find something.
If you're
better.
Harbaugh, you may look at the Commanders just because they may be able to just financially blow it out of the water, where they're going to give you full reign, hire your own GM, bring in the players you want. They might just cave it and give them whatever just to be a contender.
I think he's bringing that DC with him from Michigan. That DC from Michigan is killing it.
Then I think the next attractive spot would actually be the Raiders, because if you look at the roster, it's not a terrible roster. It's a pretty decent roster.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that you need to fix. Obviously, the quarterback, but also the ties to the Raiders. Then it's hard for me to take the Chargers seriously.
Me too.
Because I think even if you win the Super Bowl with the Chargers, you supposedly got the quarterback, right? Supposedly they got the quarterback figured out. But even if you win with that, I still think you're going to be second fiddle to the Rams and the Raiders.
You know? Yeah, and
Yeah.
frankly, the Cowboys and the Niners in that town. You're like fifth fiddle.
Like, so
I mean,
I think
there's more Niners fans in
win,
LA than Chargers fans.
Even if you win, you're not going to rule that town. So I think Harbaugh's smart enough to know that it's not going to be, even if he won, it's not going to be a big deal for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's probably down to like 2 or 3 teams. And with the Eagles, I think if that job becomes available, then yeah, who wouldn't want to coach there, because you got the quarterback, you got the wide receiver,
you got the offensive line,
you got the entire defense. So yeah, it becomes an attractive job. But that job's not available yet. We don't know how these playoffs are going to go. If let's say the Eagles make it to the NFC Championship game and lose,
we're keeping our head coach.
Right. So, and we don't know what's going to happen in Chicago too. So there's also talk that Eberflus is going to get let go from Chicago, and they're going to have deep pockets to throw money around at a coach. So
yeah,
you never know.
General manager vacancies, oddly enough, they follow who was fired midseason now. Dave Ziegler in Las Vegas, Tom Telesco in LA with the Chargers, and Scott Fitterer got let go today after they fired Frank Reich earlier this season. So
yeah, firing Frank Reich was stupid in my opinion. Didn't even give the guy a chance, to be honest with you. But I digress.
Any hoops.
Yeah. But I mean, I know I'm the resident Raider fan, and Daniel's in the chat, but your 2 cents, what do you think the Raiders should do at head coach? Would you take Jim Harbaugh,
you go
or do you
for
stick
Harbaugh?
with AP?
No, you go for Harbaugh, but if Harbaugh is not available or he's just not interested, by all means you go with AP. But you go for Harbaugh. You put all your chips into that as best as you can.
There's no reason not to try.
Yeah,
you got to at least kick the tires if he's interested, and if you can make it work.
AP is under contract. You can offer him the job and he would accept.
Absolutely.
But if Harbaugh says, "Yeah, I'll do it. I'll take the job." I mean, apples to apples, who are you taking? You're probably taking Harbaugh, right, guys?
It's probably Harbaugh because he has the proven experience. He's got a team to the Super Bowl already.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And
I think
was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say I think AP has earned the right to be a head coach somewhere. Yeah. And I don't know if it's going to be with the Raiders or not. And we'll see. There's plenty of jobs available, about 8 of them every year.
Yeah.
There's still like 2 or 3 more coming down the pipe that we don't know about as of right now. So
that's all I got on Raiders.
Okay. Yeah. Just a quick 15-minute segment on the Raiders. Real quick. Just dive it right in. You got anything else you want to add about the Eagles, Ty?
No, I mean, I just, we'll see what next week's bring. I agree with Sam that if we make it to, I would argue if we even make it past this first round, we're keeping our head coach. But if we lose to the Bucks, goodbye. Harbaugh's totally in contention. 100%. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a quick trigger in Philly, historically. So
we know the Cowboys are going to fumble it somewhere. So McCarthy may be available. So maybe he could go to the Eagles.
Yeah, over our dead bodies. Well, you know what though? I'm not going to rule it out because our GM makes slick moves and he thinks he could do whatever he wants, and I trust him. But I'm not going to rule anything out, man. I mean, the Cowboys have been a thorn in our side for the last 3 seasons, so I'm not going to rule anything out just yet.
For sure.
Right. Okay. Well, then, just real quick, I guess we can just talk about the Niners real quick. They end up losing to the Rams 21-20. Nobody really cared. I just want to talk real quick about Sam Darnold, and it looks like
we Dick Darnold.
Yeah. So the way that I saw the game was early on, he had Brandon Ayuk, he had Deebo Samuel playing, and in that first half, the Niners were very methodical.
20-0.
They did exactly what they wanted. They drove down the field. They got their points. Jake Moody missed a field goal and an extra point. So there's your difference in the ball game right there. So that's kind of an interesting point as well. But in the second half, it was basically all Rams when it was scrubs versus scrubs. And that's when Carson Wentz actually showed up and started playing well at that point when it was scrubs v scrubs. Darnold reverted back to form where he was giving away balls and fumbles and stuff. And he's, I think what both of those quarterbacks have shown is that they are worthy of being NFL backups. They have talent in them, but they also make some boneheaded, dumbass plays. And I think Sam Darnold probably secured his job as the backup quarterback for the Niners with the first half performance. And that's basically if you still had Ayuk and if you had Kittle playing at all, if you had Debo playing the whole game, maybe Darnold looks a little bit different in the second half. I don't know. That's probably how they're going to spin it is what I'm saying. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I just think that's how they're going to spin it. And that's why Sam Darnold's probably your backup quarterback again next year. And I don't think Trey Lance probably gives us this performance, at least the first
Kyle
half.
Shanahan would be like, well, in the first half and stuff, he hit his wide receivers and stuff. And
then I pulled the wide receivers and it was the backups to the backups.
I pulled the starters out and stuff, and he wasn't completing passes and stuff.
Yeah.
I never heard a guy say
stuff.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
Trent Williams was benched early on in the game after too. Just like basically he played enough to make sure that Russ doesn't settle in. He played like the first series, maybe two. Like he was already out real early.
Let's also give roses to my fellow Islander boy. Puka Nacua sets the rookie record here for catches and was it yardage as well too?
Yardage and catches. He got the yardage one on his third catch. He was 1 yard short. So in the third quarter, he was still in the game, and he's like, I actually saw it on the broadcast. He gets that third catch. He goes over the yardage. He needed 4 catches for the receiving record, and then they go right back to him. He catches the ball, and then you could see Sean McVay saying, "Get him out now!" like he's done. His day is done. And Puka's family was on the sidelines, and they were like tears of joy, and it was a very lovely sign. But props to the Niners for not letting him get it easily. Like he had to work for it. That's it's not a team that they're gonna see right away anyway in the playoffs if they do at all. So I think the script went almost exactly how you would want it. The only difference is you would want the win for the Niners. It's fine. It is what it is, and that's what I got.
All good. Before we jump to your playoff scenarios, just want to give a shout out to you and Sam. I did the tally math here for the NFL Pick'ems, and percentage wise, Sam, you beat me by 3%. I had a really rough end of this week. I don't think that would have been enough to overcome the 3%, but nonetheless, you came in second. Vince came in first at 64%. And I finished this off here at 56% of a win percentage in our NFL Pick'ems.
I was over 64%. If you can get that completion percentage as a quarterback, that's fine. It's not ideal, but it's pretty good. So, that's definitely worthy of being a backup quarterback if that was a completion percentage. Slightly better than what Sam Darnold actually did. I think Sam Darnold was at about 62%. So,
there you go.
I'm right in there. I'm right in that level as far as picking teams to win goes.
I was Bailey Zappi. That's my percentage right now.
Oof. Woof. Yeah. It all fell apart for you.
Sure did.
And I just dusted you guys on this one. This was not even close. We picked more than 200 games, like 230 something games is what we ended up picking, and
235 to be exact.
235, yeah. I had 18 game 18 game lead on you, and Sam, actually, because you missed a week, that percentage is a little bit higher. So you had fewer losses, but you only had like 2 fewer right ones than Tyler. So that's kind of how that worked out. But yeah,
Yeah, and we
Feels
all
good.
miss
Feels good to
week
be the
one,
smartest
so
guy around. No.
this is week 2 to 18 at this point. But
Yeah,
congratulations.
and like we said, Sam missed one at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was earlier on. Anywho, so let's move on, and we are going to do our playoff pick'ems. So I'm taking over the pick'ems for the playoffs because I already had it built from the last couple of years. But first we'll just kind of recap what we had picked at the beginning of the season. So we all missed on the Bengals. That Joe Burrow injury did us no favors. We all missed on the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence was definitely hurting at the end there, but still they ended up not getting the job done. We all missed on the Jets making the playoffs in some form or another because of the Aaron Rodgers injury and the inability to find competent play at quarterback. We all got the Bills, although Sam, you had them as a wild card. We all got the Chiefs. That was easy. Dolphins, me and Sam had the Dolphins. Tyler, big ups to you for having the Ravens, and we all missed on that AFC West wild card that we had. As far as the NFC goes, we all had the Lions in the playoffs. Tyler, you had them as a wild card. They ended up being division champs. We all had the Eagles and the Cowboys, although we got that wrong. We all had the Eagles as the champs. It ended up being the Cowboys. The Niners we all got right. So yeah, we all got about 4 right in the NFC. And then as far as our Super Bowl picks, me and Tyler are both still live with both
Not
of our
me.
picks. Sam, you really believed in Aaron Rodgers, and
it would have been a different
season. 4 minutes into the season. Yeah, you're a year too early. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the playoffs, and we have the Browns going to Houston to play the Texans on Saturday afternoon. These times are all Pacific, so it's 1:30 p.m. Pacific. Let's go Sam first. Who do you got? The Browns or the Texans?
Texans, baby.
You're riding with the Texans.
I just think it's a home atmosphere. I know you got the rookie quarterback, but he's been playing like a 10-year pro, and he's dynamic. And I think the Texans defense is gonna play like a veteran. They're gonna, D'Amico Ryans is gonna have them flying around. And I just think the Browns they've had a really great season, but Flacco turns the ball over, and you're not gonna be able to overcome if he's turning the ball over like he has. You're not gonna win a playoff game like that.
Agreed. I'm actually with you as well. I'm going to pick the Texans as well, but it would not shock me if somehow the Browns ended up winning and they end up playing the Ravens because the NFL script writers want to get Joe Flacco playing in Baltimore. That would unleash all sorts of chaos. And then also you have the history of the Ravens being the former Browns and just all sorts of weird, wacky tie-ins.
Yep.
So it would not shock me if the script writers decided to go Browns, but I think the Texans are the better team. So I'm picking the Texans. Daniel's in the chat shouting Texans as well.
So let me get this straight. The Texans don't have their number 2 or 1 wide receiver, right? They have Nico Collins at this point, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, still no Tank Dell though.
Yeah, so Tank Dell's out for the season. They've got that running back, right? I know Pierce, but the other one.
Singletary.
Okay.
Singletary's played really well down the
He's
stretch.
played excellent. He actually won me a few games towards the end of my fantasy here. The Browns are pretty much all but healthy for the most part. They only
Except
really
that they're
have
playing their 4th quarterback, but the 4th quarterback ended up being the best one. So
arguably
that was lucky.
One of the
I know that story.
One of the most, decorated ones for them. I mean, he's got a Super Bowl. So
that's as closest to a Super Bowl they'll get.
Yeah. You know what though? I wouldn't be shocked if that Browns defense just really hones in on Nico and just makes them try to win with a running game and that stout front. I'm gonna go with Browns onto it. And it's a 1:30 game. It's a funky afternoon Saturday game. Anything can happen. I'm gonna go with the Browns on it.
All right. So then the next game is the Chiefs hosting the Dolphins. That's Saturday night. That is going to be on Peacock, not on like regular television. So
Can I go
gotta
first?
sign up for that. I'll go first on this one. And I think I'm going to pick the Chiefs.
I'm
Tyreek
gonna.
might end up breaking one, like he might go off for 200 yards. But
You're-
it's going to be super cold.
You're
The Dolphins, it's going to be frozen. So we'll see.
you're telling me that Tyreek gets to play in Kansas City for a playoff game and shows Kansas City what a terrible mistake was to trade him or move on from him. I'm sorry, not re-sign him, I should say. I'm going Dolphins, baby.
Okay. Sam, what do you got?
I'm going Dolphins. I want the Chiefs to lose. But all the reasons that Tyler just said, Tyreek Hill, that offense. But honestly, I just don't think the Chiefs, like, they don't have any wide receivers to really make big plays. And Patrick Mahomes is not making Patrick Mahomes plays. And I know he's getting, a couple of weeks off here, but I don't think that's going to be enough to fix it. I'll take the Dolphins.
Also,
Okay.
they should have Jalen Waddle back for this game. I don't know how effective he's going to be with that knee injury, but he should be back.
Okay, we'll see. On Sunday, the first game on Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time, Bills hosting the Steelers.
Across the board.
I think we're all going Bills, right?
Across
I mean,
the board.
Yeah, I mean,
I love
shocking.
Steelers, but you know what? It's been a great story, and Mike Tomlin, you did it again.
It's the annual like celebratory congratulations fake playoff team 7th seed. Not happening. I don't think so.
Daniel
All
took
right.
the Dolphins and Bills too, so
Okay. Cowboys hosting the Packers, the Mike McCarthy Bowl. God, there's got to be, you got to come up with something.
Man?
Yeah.
I'm taking the Packers, dude.
Really?
Wow.
This will be
That'll be a good upset.
the first time a 7 seed wins a playoff game.
I just can't trust a McCarthy team in the playoffs.
I think McCarthy gets it done in the first round, so I'm gonna go Cowboys.
Okay.
And then the wheels
the
fall
Cowboys,
off the
though.
wagon. I don't either. None of us do.
they're gonna lose to somebody at some point in the playoffs because, like you said, McCarthy cannot get it done. Aaron Rodgers got it done with him in spite of him in 2010. So
this is a good one, though.
This is gonna be a lot of fun. We got the Lions and the Rams on Sunday night. Oh, it's gonna be so
Dude, the
fun.
Rams are so hot, though.
They played a lot better down the stretch.
I would not be surprised how fucked up that's going to be if like Stafford just carves up the Lions.
Yeah, he just shits all over him. Oh,
I've been riding the Lions all year. I'm gonna stick with the Lions. I really like this team. I love their head coach. I'm gonna roll with the Lions.
Okay. Tyler, what do you think?
God, this is a tough one. Fudge, man. I think the Rams defense doesn't get it done, and I'm going with Lions.
You're gonna go Lions. Okay. That was
it's
there.
It's you flip a coin on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Lions. Again, this is another one I would not be surprised if I'm wrong, but I
mean, the Rams are hot, man. They're so hot.
I want to see it. Eagles, Buccaneers.
Eagles
are actually 2.5-point favorites. I was already gonna.
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna pick.
You're
Begrudgingly, you know what I'm gonna pick.
Yeah. Sam.
I gotta take the Eagles. I mean, just based on the talent of the roster, you should win this game, right? Just talent,
right? I mean, I'll pick the Eagles as well. I just this is another one. It's not going to surprise me if we're wrong.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So that being said, we are also keeping score. Wild card round will be worth 1 point. Division round will be 2 points. The championship Sunday will be 4 points, and Super Bowl will be 8 points. We're also going to get preseason bonuses if any of our picks make the Super Bowl. 5 points for each correct team, and then if you guess the Super Bowl champion correctly, another 5 points. So you could have a total of 15 points, bonus points, if you like, if I pick the Bills, I pick the Bills and the 49ers, and if the 49ers win that matchup, then I get 15 extra points.
Our boy Daniel taking the Bucks in the upset special.
I mean, again, would not shock me at all.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so there is our wild card weekend picks. Anybody want to change their mind?
No, but if the Bucks do win, Harbaugh is the Eagles' next head coach.
Okay. All right. I am stopping the share then. There we go. Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun to see how the playoffs shake down. One last note. I guess oh, actually, we got 2 more notes on football. Crap. Let's do this quickly. Quick fun discussion that's happening online right now is comeback player of the year. Is it Damar Hamlin who came back from being dead, or Joe Flacco who came back from being on the Jets, which is almost as bad as being dead? So that's the discussion. Who do you think?
Hamlin.
I think so too.
And he actually had a decent season.
Well, he barely played, to be honest.
Well, I mean, he came back week 4, week 5.
Yeah.
He didn't.
But he got like 5 tackles on the year or something.
Yeah, he hasn't put up many numbers, but the fact that he's actually playing in games, the fact that he's still walking amongst us.
Hamlin's the heartstrings, it's the feel good story, but based on the numbers, it's Flacco. Like,
right.
As far as a player, his career was over. It's Flacco, and he's in the playoffs with a shot to. I mean, if you get the Super Bowl, if you get the Super Bowl run, Flacco, like,
if he's caught fire like that, like that year, yeah, that's going to be tough.
He's playing his ass. I'll give him that. He'll be motivated to play these playoff games because hypothetically, if they somehow ran the table and win the Super Bowl, you're talking about a quarterback with 2 Super Bowl championships. And there's only one quarterback with 2 Super Bowl championships who's not in the Hall of Fame.
Who's eligible?
Who's eligible?
Yeah. And that's, of course, your boy.
That's my boy, Jim Plunkett.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely wild.
I think that would solidify his career. If I was Flacco, I'd retire. Like, if I won the Super Bowl, I'd be like, I'm out.
Oh, I would too.
Because he's in. Yeah. He would be in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, you have one more NFL news? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to talk about the draft real quick. Chicago gets the number 1 overall pick because Carolina earned that for them, but then they made that trade last year.
God.
So Chicago getting the number 1 and the number 9 pick. They could in theory, trade back from that too.
Yeah. They could.
And anybody that's looking for a quarterback help, if somebody wants to come up and they can get another ransoms haul for that, they can ransom that off, and yeah, it's going to be kind of wild. Sam, your team has the number 13 pick.
Yeah.
We'll see. A lot of crazy things happen in the draft.
You're middle of the road. I mean, you can. It all depends on who your coach is going to be, who your GM is going to be. If you go Jim Harbaugh, I think you're. I mean, even if you go Coach AP, it depends on are you tearing this team down or are you going for it? If you're going for it, you're probably keeping the pick, and maybe you're adding players that can contribute hopefully right away. But if you're tearing it down, you're probably going to try to trade up and get a quarterback. So don't know.
Yeah. We'll see how it shakes down. Yeah, so that's it for football. Let's turn our attention to the hard court. The Warriors.
Breaking news. Oh,
you have breaking news, huh?
Dubs have officially opened the trade window for Andrew Wiggins. He is on the docket to move as soon as possible to open the way for Kuminga for more minutes for him.
Yeah, I think that's the move that needs to happen.
Yep.
We'll see who's willing to buy Andrew Wiggins. It's a hell of a contract that they have to move. But they found a way to move plenty of other guys in the past. So Jordan Poole specifically. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. The Warriors get the win against Orlando, and then they lose versus Denver. They get the win against Detroit, and then they lose against Toronto. So that's 2-2 over the last week.
terribly against Toronto,
Yeah,
like
that
73
Toronto game
points in the
was
half.
that's that
Well, they
Toronto
lost that
was
game in the
heinous.
first 5 minutes.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
really did. It was
Game
like
was over.
I watched the
I shut it
playback
off. I was like, fuck
Uh,
this.
last night. I watched the playback of that game. You know, just like the highlights that are on YouTube TV. You know, watch key plays or whatever, and all but two of them were plays for Toronto. I was like, is this a Toronto highlight or a Warriors highlight? Good
Right.
grief.
So you
It was
know,
bad.
I know we're gonna talk about Draymond here, and go ahead, and I'll do my 2 cents in here.
Okay. So Draymond Green has officially been reinstated after 12-game suspension. He said on his podcast that he almost retired, but Adam Silver talked him out of it.
I
It was
kind of
a
wish
ra-
he did.
He called it a rash decision, and I'm not going to let you do that, is what Draymond reportedly said.
Well,
So-
Adam Silver told him, like, I'm not gonna let you do it, but I kind of wish he did. And the reason why I say that is because you know what I get when I watch Moody and I watch Kuminga and I watch Pazinski and I watch, TJD. I'm getting the feels of that early Warriors team with Clay and Steph and Dre and
The
Bogut.
2011, 2012, 2013.
Yeah, like it's a
2013.
young squad
Specifically.
that is balling out, and watch out for them the next couple of years. And I think if they can keep Moody and they can keep Kuminga, obviously they're keeping Pazinski, obviously they're keeping TJD, in this trade deadline. But those guys, like that's a starting core. You're missing one piece, but I mean, fill it in with a veteran at this point. But that's a starting core. That's an Orlando Magic squad. That's an Atlanta Hawks squad. That's a Knicks squad. Well, actually, Knicks have been playing pretty good, but typically it's a Knicks squad.
Right.
So-
Daniel in the chat says we need a winger. Speaking of the Lakers, yeah, I don't
Man,
know. Like
you have
it's
Rui
not gonna-
Hachimura. Shut up. Get out of here, Daniel, and get out of this squad. Get out of here. You have Rui Hachimura. You pay all this money for Anthony Davis, who gets hurt. needs a
LeBron ain't
Band-Aid.
happy, bro.
LeBron just
LeBron wants a new
posterized.
team.
LeBron just posterized Paul George last night. Get out of here. Relax. chill
LeBron
out.
said he's going to draft Bronny.
All I'm
That's
saying is
Bronny
that
on
when
his
I'm watching
team.
this Warrior squad, this young squad looks like a 2011 squad of like, yeah, they're probably going to lose a lot of close games, and they should lose a lot of close games because they're a young team that doesn't know how to close out, right?
I
But-
hope the Warriors draft Bronny.
But my
LeBron
point
needs
is
to be
that-
traded.
my point
LeBron
being is that-
for Andrew Wiggins.
No, my point being is that like if you get this young squad and you actually start building around these, and like let's say Draymond moves on, we would trade him out. Clay goes and signs with another team, say the Lakers, for instance, or something like that next year because he can't get the contract with the Warriors. I mean, Steph with that crew, and then you start getting some veterans into it. I think you're rebuilding something worthwhile.
Well, it's also too just getting the money off the books, right? A
Yeah.
couple years down the road, you get rid of these expired. Because if you're wheeling and dealing, and who you're bringing in, you're probably bringing in some contracts that aren't healthy for you as a franchise. But hopefully, you're getting an expiring in a year or within 2 years, or maybe
Chris
you're able to
Pauls.
move those contracts. Exactly, you're wheeling and dealing. But you get some financial relief, and you're able to add some guys in the future. Then hopefully these young guys, you hit on them, Kuminga, Pods, Moody, they get more time and they're actually, starting and contributing. Right now, it just seems like they don't have an identity. Going back to Draymond, this is how I could see the conversation going. Is Adam Silver going, we're not happy with the antics on the court. And then Draymond going, well, you know what? It's too much for me. I'm going to retire because I can't change who I am. And then Adam Silver going, that's crazy. You got like $88 million on the table. You got a lot of basketball left. And if you leave the NBA like this, your TNT deal is probably off the table. So you don't want to do that. Oh, okay. That's a good point, Adam Silver. Like, did he actually entertain retiring? Nah. I agree with you, Tyler. If he did, if I'm Mike Dunleavy and Joe Lacob, I'm probably like, I hope this motherfucker retired because then I could get that off my books and bring in somebody who's not going to cost me games. I think I did listen to the podcast later in the day, and I did listen to Draymond Green talking about help and what help meant when he was, 15 years old in Saginaw, Michigan, and what help means coming from the league and coming from his coach and coming from Adam Silver. And I thought there was actually some really good points that he made. I know I was texting you guys earlier, like, I was kind of poo-pooing Draymond's retirement stuff, and I still am. I don't really believe it in the scenario that he laid out, but I do respect how he talks about help and change, and that he and this resonated with me, where people have offered me help in life, and I took it as an insult. I took it as like, I don't need your fucking help, right? And I think that's a limited view, and I had to go through some things to like understand when a friend or a family member or someone genuinely is offering their help and what that means. Like, that resonated with me, because there's been times where friends have offered me help and I was insulted that somebody would talk to me that way. Now, at retrospect, at almost 40, like, how fortunate and how lucky I am to have friends and family and people who care about me and say like, hey, I want to help you. I had to go through a journey to understand that. And I just wanted to recognize that in Draymond's, in his personal life. However, with all of that, love, that greatness going on, I don't know if it's as easy as like turning it on and off like a switch, because now he's saying he doesn't need to play with the antics. He doesn't need to play with that edge. Well, if you didn't, why could you didn't turn that off?
Yeah, I think
4 years ago.
Like 2.5, 3 weeks is not enough. Whatever therapy sessions you want to say to go face your demons and be like, I could just be a different person. No, man,
Yeah,
it takes
don't.
years. It takes a long time to be able to change your perspective about how you view things in life, if it means changing it for the better of your own life. So you're done doing things a certain way your whole life, and to change that in 3 weeks, it's not happening. So
My
I mean,
final thing about the situation is, I think the thing that could push him to truly change on the court and everything, is that I really believe that he realizes he's wearing out his welcome, not just in the NBA, but with like fans, and I know it may seem like fans don't matter, but I think when you start to see the social media and the locker room changing, and now the NBA changing, and your whole new media stuff changing, like, no, at this point, there's not a lot of people defending what Draymond Green did and has done. Those people are kind of on an island. Even the people that were defending all the way up to Rudy Gobert. And now it's just like, those people are gone. And I think he's kind of reading the room, in mid-30s or whatever, early 30s, what he is, and saying, I need a change, because if I don't, my welcome is out of here.
yeah.
He's wearing out his welcome with the Warriors and possibly the league.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So upcoming in the schedule, the Warriors play against the Pelicans on Wednesday. Friday, they are at Chicago. Saturday, they're at Milwaukee. Monday, they're playing at Memphis, and that's a day game. And that's actually Martin Luther King Day as well. So the league is doing a big thing for that as well. So that's part of why the game is going to be happening at 11 a.m. or something like that. Yeah, so that kind of wraps up Warriors talk. I think we can move on to the pond. We got excuse me. Tomas Hertl has been named to the All-Star team for the Sharks. I'm just looking at his stats right now. He's got he leads the team in goals with 13, and he leads the team. He's got 28 points total. So that's 15 assists. He leads the team in points. Granlund actually has a couple more assists than he does, which is a little bit surprising. That being said, the team overall is not very good. So, but the league has the same rule that Major League Baseball has, where every team gets at least one All-Star, and that's because they want to make sure every market has something to cheer for on All-Star weekend. And the All-Star game's in a couple of weeks. There's going to be more people added to the All-Star game roster, but it won't be any Sharks. Tomas Hertl is going to be your lone Shark representative. The team is really bad. Logan Couture still has not played a game yet for them this season. And I'm starting to wonder about that too. We're at 39, 40 games played.
Yeah,
Yeah, 40 games played at this point. It's I'm wondering when he's going to get out there. At this point, it's really like they could use him, that's for sure, and they're not playing with energy or purpose, and I'm not impressed with what I'm seeing out of them right now. That they lose all 3 of the games this past week. They're 9 wins, 28 losses, and 3 overtime losses. They're dead last in the league, and and they're the next team up is Chicago, and they're 5 points clear of them. So, uh,
well,
uh,
Chicago might start losing some games now that
yeah,
Bedard has like a
Connor
fractured.
Bedard fractured his
Broke
jaw.
his
He's on the
jaw,
injured
yeah.
reserve list. So,
He hit
we'll
that
see.
ice hard. I don't know if y'all saw the video, but I mean, he got thrown down pretty hard.
Yeah, yeah. So this coming week they have Tuesday at Toronto, Thursday at Montreal, Saturday at Ottawa, and then Monday at Buffalo. And I don't know who we're going with the week for this week, guys.
Yeah, if I'm gonna pick one, I guess I'm gonna do Ottawa.
Okay. All right, so Tyler, you'll take Ottawa. Sam, who do you got?
Who is it? Ottawa, and who else are they playing?
Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, and Buffalo.
Buffalo.
All right. So Sam has Buffalo. You know what? I'm gonna make us all live, and I'm gonna take Montreal as
It's not.
as
I
my
mean,
win of the week. So if they're gonna get a win this week, don't let it be Toronto, and then we're all wrong. Like, let somebody get a point this week. Good grief, guys. Come
one
on,
thing to
get
note.
it together.
One thing to note: the Sharks' top draft pick, Will Smith, played in the Gold Medal Cup against Sweden. Didn't really do much, but just noted out that he made the roster for the juniors team. So hopefully we'll see him in the next like 2 years or so.
Yeah, in maybe a year or so. We'll see. Year and a half on the outside. I want to see these young studs come up and play well, and I want them to stay up when they do come up.
Yeah.
I want to see somebody in contention for rookie of the year.
Yeah.
And you can't do that if you're not on the roster for 60 games, and so when you come up, you stay up, and you come up early in the year, or you make the team out of the training camp and go from there. So that's what I want, and I want that in a couple of years. So long way to go for Sharks fans. It's going to be a rough one, guys. Buckle up.
Yeah.
All right. So
let's flip the switch here. We're gonna go to the pitch now across the pond. The Wrexham postponed their game against MK Dons due to the weather. They do get the win in the 3rd round of the FA Cup against Shrewsbury. Close game, but they got it 1-0. Now the 4th round of the drawings are in, and this is where the big teams start coming into play. Your champions, your Premier League teams. They didn't pull the Premier League team, which is fine, but they did pull a middle of the pack champion team. And the 4th round will be playing Wrexham against the Blackburn Rovers on January.
And Blackburn
27th.
has been up in the Premiership in recent past. So
Yep.
So they're no slouches. Like,
no, not at
it's
all.
a quality team.
Yep, I agree. So the last time they played was 1983, and Wrexham won by 1 goal. Again, this is not 1983, but hopefully we can get a repeat of that. So shout out to them. Hopefully they make it to the next round. I just want to see them play against I want to see them play a Premier team, but of all teams, I want them to play Chelsea, because Chelsea was the one that injured Paul Mullen with their piece of shit 3rd string, 4th string goalie that they had.
Oh yeah, that was on the American tour in San Diego.
Yeah. That's what I want a rematch of that. I mean, they'll probably get blown out by a top squad of Chelsea, but I still want to watch it. Entertain the thought of it. Their next match is Saturday against AFC Wimbledon. We're back to our regular schedule on that. Because they've had a couple games postponed, they're still 14-7-4, 3rd place, 49 points, 2 points away from Stockport. But again, they have to make up 2 games. So
yeah, those 2 games in hand are going to be huge down the stretch. It'll suck for you're gonna have to play them on like 2 or 3 3 days rest or whatever, but it's all opportunities to make up ground. So
Yep. And like we said, the 2 things they need to do is get promoted. That's number 1. 2, make it as far as you can in the FA Cup, because that's winnings for your team that allows you to go and get more talent. So And out of all the cups that you want to go as far as you can go in, the FA Cup is the one you want to go the farthest in as best as you can. So that being said, I do also want to note that Notts County, which was, the Wrexham's rival from last year in the non-football league, their coach Luke Williams has decided to leave, and he is going to coach Swansea, which was, I think they're Swansea, yes. So I think that pretty much kills Notts County's chances for this year. Not to say they can't get a coach, but they're sitting at about fifth right now. And losing your coach probably kills your morale. Then you got to get a new coach who's going to coach a different system. It's going to be a lot of variables for them to have to move up into Football League 2 or Football League 1.
Yeah, we'll see how they react to this news. We'll see how they play.
Yep. So
okay,
we'll keep you updated.
A couple of notes on baseball.
Yeah, so Daniel, I know you're in the chat. The rich just keep getting richer. Dodgers signed Teoscar Hernandez for a 1 year, $23.5 million. I guess there's a lot of hype around him, especially in Toronto. I mean, I don't see the hype. I think he was okay in Toronto. Like, he played okay defense. He was a little bit above average when it comes to his hitting. I just, even when he was in Seattle, I guess, whatever. But hey, you get another outfielder. Congrats to you guys. One thing
you got a big leaguer. You got a pro. You got a player's player.
I don't think he's moving.
You got a gamer
for you.
You got a gamer.
So,
but 8 million. I think 8 million is deferred, is what I read. So
yep.
They're only paying him like 16 something this year, then 8 million next year. So
only 16 million.
Yeah, I mean, just like deferred champions, man. Like, I wonder if MLB is going to do something about competitive balance, about deferring all of these payments.
Well, they need a soft cap to start. They don't even have
that luxury tax is laughable. And Daniel with the claps in the chat. So
Daniel, your team is going to win on credit. I also wanted to note that the Dodgers' new pitcher Yoshinobu Yamamoto was at the 2019 A's wild card game against Tampa, and he described.
So was I.
Yeah, we were all there. Look at that.
All right.
Well, Daniel wasn't there, but we were all there. He described the atmosphere as more electric but similar to baseball in Japan. So just a reminiscence of the past of what the A's Stadium used to be and how loud and ruckus it used to be.
And this is 2019. This is after all the so-called attendance problems. The fans still exist.
Yeah,
we're still here.
What's fucking crazy? I didn't want to talk about this, but what's fucking crazy to me is MLB is giving the A's another year of fucking welfare and charity, even though technically they do not have a deal in place. Like, they do not, they technically did not meet the requirements.
No, they still haven't.
But again, MLB is just going to fall in line and give them what they want. They're already talking about they may need to. The renderings were supposed to be done around Thanksgiving.
Wait,
but because of the shooting, they said, we don't want to talk about that. And now they won't be ready for like another 2 to 3 months. So, it's a fucking bunch of clowns.
Yeah, I agree. Well, hey, Hopium still runs high because John Fisher is the only one who can ruin this at this point, and he's doing a bang up job so far.
Yeah.
Did I tell you guys I got kicked off of Twitter for like a week?
Oh, really? You got the ban, huh?
This was like a month ago. Yeah, I got booted from Twitter for like a week because I said something like I basically wish bodily harm to John Fisher. And then like somebody flagged it. I'm like, who?
John Fisher.
Who likes John Fisher? Nobody. It was like, Cavill, is that you who flagged my account, you son of a bitch?
He used to be active on the Hellscape app, man. So I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. What a
fucking joke.
I don't understand how anybody can cape up for these guys. I mean, they just what an absolute failure. You can't. It's just a mess. It's just
what's his name? Amendola.
Amandalara.
Mandalara. He put out a new
Damon
video.
Amendolara.
He put out a new video regarding this whole A situation. So if you haven't had a chance, we'll put in the link, I guess. But
Yeah.
it's a great video. Another great addition to the FJF moment here.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I think that's enough baseball for now. This is off season. We don't need to talk forever about how much we hate John Fisher. That's been beaten to death. Moving on. I was going to try to make a joke there. I just didn't have it. That wouldn't have gotten us in trouble. So we move on. Tiger Woods and Nike have parted ways after 27 years. Nike put out like one last little ad that says it's been a hell of a round.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. Good ad for him.
I mean, Nike Golf basically did not exist. Like they were like brand new, and Tiger was their first major signing, and they were trying to really ramp up Nike Golf. And I say it worked. I think it worked.
Yeah, I just bought a Nike Golf shirt this past weekend at Costco. So yeah, it's, for sure works.
Yeah, they certainly got their money back, and that was a mutually beneficial partnership for nearly 3 decades.
And they stuck with him through all the hell that he almost drugged them through. They stuck with him. And you know what though? Don't be shocked if Charlie, his son, signs a fat deal with Nike and then like the next year. Because that kid's coming. That kid can play.
Charlie's coming. Charlie is coming. Yeah, so I guess that's basically it for the show, unless you fellas have anything else you want to bring up.
Nope. Enjoy your guys' evening at this point, but let's get the send-off here. Huh?
All right, let's send this bad boy off into the unknown. You're listening to the SVT podcast. Subscribe on YouTube and hit that bell to get alerts when we go live. Follow us on Instagram and Threads at SVT Sports Pod. Slide into our DMs. We would love to interact with all of you beautiful, beautiful people. Such beauties, man. Absolute fucking beauties in our audience.
Later,
Good night,
guys.
Good night.